You won't believe the tea we're spilling today. From secret breakups to shocking lies, this is unreal tea. Hit subscribe before the drama starts. Welcome everyone. No cameras, no producers, only a cold Flagstaff courtroom, the smell of aged wood and closed secrets hanging in the air. Christine sitting at the plaintiff's table by herself, fingers whitened around the edge of a crumpled blue binder, thick, full, with something no one had expected. Directly across from her Kody, folded arms, face hardened like shattered stone. Robin sat behind him, eyes scanning, breathing into his shoulder. Mary and Janelle stood back silently by the edge of the back row, unsure whether they were spectators or witnesses to what was about to happen. The judge pushed his glasses back down his nose slowly and posed the question that tilted the earth beneath them all. Mrs. Brown, are you ready to reveal everything? Christine didn't blink. She pushed the binder forward, gaze fixed on Kody. Every lie, every dollar, every betrayal, she whispered to Kody. Not to the judge, not to the court, but to Kody. The air in the courtroom was electric. No one had any idea what she had in that binder. But everyone knew. Whatever it was going to turn everything on its head. Whose side are you on? Christine, Kody, Robin, Mary, or Janelle? Leave your answer in the comments and let us know why you think them or why you don't. The courtroom clock is ringing louder than necessary as Christine clears her throat, standing with hesitant slow reluctance that does not hide the storm brewing in her chest. Kody won't look at her. He's too busy writing something on a yellow legal pad, trying to play like this is all beneath him, but Christine sees straight through the guise. The judge nods to her, and her voice, which had shaken at first, surges with a strength no one expected. I am here today not to kill a family, she begins. Her eyes darting over Mary and Janelle for a moment before locking down. But to show how. One man turned a family into a money pit where trust was money and there was only one wife who knew the combination to the vault. That sentence cuts through silence. Robin's face hardens. The judge leans forward. Christine opens the binder. Inside color-coded tabs, handwritten journals, screen prints, bank accounts, and what looks like a printed trail of emails. Marked. Confidential. A held gasp. This binder, Christine continues, holds 13 years of financial exclusion, manipulation, and deception. She points to a tab labeled 2015. This was the year Kody told us we were failing, that we couldn't even buy Christmas gifts for the kids. She flips the page, but this bank statement shows that he and Robin spent over $32,000 to a private contractor to make renovations on Robin's house. The courtroom doesn't gasp, but it tightens. Kody still doesn't look up. That was drawn from the joint family account, and nobody else knew. Robin starts muttering frantically to the attorney beside her. Christine's hand shakes slightly, but her voice doesn't because for the first time in years, she has the truth, and the truth is heavier than any silence Kody ever silenced her with. The judge interrupts her. Mrs. Brown, these are serious charges. Have these records been verified? Christine nods and slides a notarized affidavit in court clerk. Every page has been scrutinized by my accountant, a retired IRS auditor. Kody is on the move now. Finally, the judge looks at the tabs and gestures to the bailiff to collect evidence. Let's begin with 2015, he says. Christine's heart pounding because that's not even the worst year. The binder includes much worse. The sort of information which would disclose more than finances. It might transform the legal status of the entire Brown family unit. Kody mutters something to his lawyer. Christine watches him closely, not contemptuously, but with a tender hurt. A hurt that says, I trusted you. I stuck by you, and you let me rot while she lived like a queen. The judge glances at Kody's table. Have you a response? Kody's lawyer stands smooth and ready. Your Honor, we believe that this is a skewing of marital assets and in the absence of legal context. The judge raises an eyebrow. Then we'll have the context. The remainder of the 45 minutes are like surgery. Christine walks the courtroom through the timeline. Each year bracketed with moments which at the time had been perceived as misunderstandings, now revealed to be carefully made decisions. In 2016, the combined income of the family from TLC was funneled into an LLC, which Christine was not even aware of. A second residence was purchased in the name of Robin in 2018 with cashed-out retirement accounts tied to the original family trust. Every new page Christine turns is akin to a scalpel peeling back skin, revealing nerve after nerve, lie after lie, until even Mary's eyes are flying. No longer caring which team she's on, Kody finally talks loud, cold, and clipped. This is vendetta. The room is quiet. Christine doesn't blink. No, Kody, this is a record. The judge pulls out a document. Mr. Brown, did you sign this transfer request or not sign it? Kody leans forward, his eyes squinting, the color draining from his face. That document is taken out of context. Christine cuts in. It's page 214. There's full email context. Go on, read the whole thing. The judge turns further. His eyes become tighter. Robin glares at the ground now, arms folded, pulling into herself. Christine receives a shock to her chest. Guilt, maybe, or the shock of being in love with someone. Who can keep this secret from her and sleep at night? Her voice shakes now, but not with fear, with freeing. This isn't hurting you, she says. Voice softening for a moment. It's about rescuing myself from the hurt of being quiet. Because silence weaponized becomes the most powerful tool of a man who needs you to think that you're lucky only to be put up with. Mary suddenly clams up. Her voice is so low. Can I speak? The judge hesitates. Christine turns. Mary has not spoken to her in weeks. Not since Christine made the motion to reopen the case. You may, the judge says. Mary slowly moves forward. Her heels clicking on the wood like a metronome. I remember 2017, Kody told us the family could no longer afford single sessions of therapy, that we need to be together emotionally, but 2 weeks later Robin's son received private tutor for his music class. Robin is sitting upright. That wasn't on family funds. The judge bangs the gavel once. You'll have been heard, Mrs. Brown. Christine is closing her eyes, not because she is overwhelmed, but because Mary remembering makes her no longer alone. Mary is finished. If what Christine is telling us is true, then we've all been lied to. And in a moment, the foundation of Kody's courtroom defense begins to crack. Not because Christine is showing evidence, but because she showed memory. Memory. That supports what hearts already knew. The judge already seems tired. This is more than a division of property. This is a breaking up of a family muddled with possible fraud. Kody loses his temper, there was no fraud. Christine responds without yelling. Then prove it. Show us where the money went. The judge instructs a recess. The courtroom buzzes like a hive. Robin's already halfway out the door, pulling out her phone from her purse. Mary slowly sits down, daydreaming. Janelle hasn't moved once, her face unreadable. Christine opens her binder. Being careful not to let her hands shake now. Out in front are reporters waiting. But in here, the war is only just on the brink of breaking out because tomorrow the court will sit down to read the 2019 documents. And what's contained in those pages is not just financial, it's intimate. A secret Kody felt he had buried that night he signed a document. He hoped no one would ever dig. What would you do if your truth was contained in a binder and the people you loved most tried to bury it? Christine stayed awake that night. Not out of anxiety, but out of clarity. For the first time in years, her voice was a weight, as if the memories weren't so much ignored whispers inside an echo chamber of Kody's dominance. Morning seeped in like a creeping fire. And when she entered the courthouse once more, the temperature of the entire room had shifted. The media had caught wind of the Brown family civil war, and 2 camera crews lingered outside like vultures around a war zone. Kody entered with his chin up, but the tension in his jaw betrayed him. Robin sported shades inside and kept her mouth shut. Mary did not sit near them this time either. She found a secluded spot closer to Christine, which was not noticed by anybody, not even Janelle, who entered last and scanned the courtroom with the face of a woman preparing influence. The judge started the session with a stern face. Today we come to talk about the 2019 financial reports and Christine's charge of stolen income. He looked at Christine. You may proceed. Christine opened the binder to a red marker highlighted. To 2019, the year that disappeared. She took a deep breath. This was the year that we got our largest payment from TLC. $570,000 shared among the 5 of us. Or so we thought. That was the handshake. That was the deal. She opened to the first receipt, but my deposit had been $76,000, not $114,000. When I asked her to clarify, I was told that the showrunners made the switch due to contractual restructuring. That was a lie. Kody fidgeted in his seat, bouncing his knee. Why did you think that was a lie? The judge asked. Christine pulled out an envelope. Because I contacted TLC directly through legal channels. They provided me with the payment ledger for that year. She walked over to the clerk and pulled it out. All 5 figures were identical. All 5 were paid out simultaneously, but the accounts they were paid into, only 3 were in line with our initial family banking agreement. The other 2 private accounts in Robin's name. The courtroom silence shattered like glass. Because this wasn't about poor decisions anymore. This was about siphoning. Robin's mouth dropped open. That's a lie, she yelled. I never. You did, Christine said softly. And your name is right there on the ledger. The judge held up his hand to silence both of them and read the paper slowly. Can you validate the authenticity of this correspondence? Yes, Christine spoke. It was done through legal representation, stamped and notarized. The court maintains one sealed. Kody stood up, face flushed. This is absurd. Why would I do that? Because you thought we'd never check. Christine's voice was icily cold. You thought because you wore the patriarch's crown that your word was gospel, but all that you ever wore was a mask. The judge looked at Kody. Did you authorize a diversion of funds? Kody's lawyer interrupted. Your Honor, we will be submitting a motion to dismiss these financial claims for lack of standing. The plaintiff was not a legal spouse. Christine spun on her heels, her voice like a lash. And yet you used my name to borrow loans. You used my children's data for tax returns. So if I was not a wife, why did I become responsible for the debt? The court changed again like gravity shifting itself. Because if Christine was not a legal wife, then the whole basis of Kody's empire rested on moral sand. He had asked for loyalty. Without legality, obedience without protection. Mary leaned forward and whispered something to her lawyer. The judge cleared his throat. We'll get back to that issue. Mrs. Brown, is there more in 2019? Christine nodded. Yes, this page. This one crushed me. She showed me a printout. It's an email conversation between Kody and his financial advisor. He's discussing how to consolidate all of the family homes into one real estate trust. There is only one name on the list as beneficiary. The judge raised an eyebrow. Whose name? Christine flipped over the page. Robin. Robin gasped, then gave Kody a look, eyes wide with something that looked a whole lot like fear. You said enough, Kody barked. The judge, though, didn't bat an eyelash. Mr. Brown, did you or did you not sign off on this restructuring? Kody was revealed now, caught in his own smugness. It was a working draft. It was never signed. Christine nodded. That's right. It wasn't signed because I found it before you'd submitted it. I called you out on it. Remember? Kody did not say anything. And you told me I was paranoid. Christine's hand trembled as she flipped to the final page. So I printed out the draft, and the next day I was locked out of the family Dropbox. It wasn't just about dollars and cents anymore. It was about eraser. Christine wasn't just pushed aside. She was being digitally erased out of a record she helped create. Mary's face changed. There was their anger now. Not with Christine, but at something deeper. Maybe herself. Maybe Kody. The judge leaned back. Mr. Brown, unless this continues, the court would have no option but to freeze all current assets for examination. That includes homes, vehicles, and joint accounts. Robin let out a small sob. Kody was so pale he might have swallowed glass. You're ruining this family, he growled at Christine. You already did, she replied. The judge adjourned the court. As citizens exited, Mary brushed against Christine's arm. The last time they'd had any physical contact was over a year ago. Why didn't you tell me then? She asked in a hushed voice. Christine turned, her eyes glassy. Because I was still trying to shield him. I thought telling would hurt everyone, but silence was killing me. Janelle took over, her voice low. I saw the changes in the bank. I didn't know what they were, but I do now. Christine nodded. It's okay. We all saw fragments. I just finally pieced them together. The most deafening betrayals are not always screamed. They're born in the silent assent of those too afraid to look closer. As Kody and his attorney walked back to court, Kody's lawyer filed an emergency motion to delay the asset freeze. One stipulation, accepted by the judge. Tomorrow we move into taped communications. If those tapes validate what is in black and white, then this is a criminal case. Kody's jaw clenched. Christine knew this was inevitable. She had 3 audio recordings, and one of them, only one, had a conversation between Kody and Robin that would flip everything on its head. It wasn't scripted. It wasn't staged. It was raw. It was real. And it was coming. If you heard the truth with your own ears, would you finally believe what your eyes had not wanted to see? The next morning arrived like a slow breath before the scream. And when Christine entered the courthouse with the confidential USB drive clutched firmly in her hand, the weight of her decision fell to rest deep in her bones. This was not evidence. This was memory suspended in digital time, revived in a room filled with people who once called themselves a family. The judge opened session 3 with a calm but assertive voice. We begin today review of the plaintiff's submitted audio recordings. The court has certified the files to be authentic and dated. Mrs. Brown, you may stage the first. Christine nodded and walked to the audio tech table. Inserting the USB, silently, the speakers came to life. The judge motioned for silence, and then the room was alive with voices from the past. It began with a whispered kitchen moment. Kody's voice low tight. It's not about fairness, Robin. It's about optics. If we inform them it's for the family, but send it to your account first, no one questions. A pause, then Robin's voice, nervous. What if they find out? They won't. Christine barely glances at the statements. Mary doesn't even ask anymore. The room did not gasp, but each breath changed. The judge raised an eyebrow. Stop there. The tape stopped. Mr. Brown, can you tell me about this conversation? Kody's lawyer stood up, deflecting immediately. Your Honor, the context of that conversation has been quoted incorrectly. It was a tactic conversation about how to simplify payments. It was a sham, Christine interrupted. You realize that I was the only one asking questions, and your response was to hide answers. The judge waved to continue the file. The replay resumed again. Kody again. We have to protect Robyn's credit score. It's the cleanest. If we go through her, we don't get unnecessary flags. That's the way we'll get the next property through. Robyn, but isn't that dishonest, Kody? It means we're staying alive. The tape didn't just contain lies on it. It contained a map of betrayal where loyalty was employed as a weapon and silence bought with carefully measured out affection. The judge leaned forward. How long is this recording? 10 minutes, Christine had replied. But that's the light one. She pulled out a second USB. This is the March 2021 one. The evening I told him he had to leave. Robyn's head dropped. Kody crossed his arms so hard it looked like he was attempting to contain a detonation. The second file began. Kody's voice. Again, this time angrier time. You're not taking the kids off with you. You go alone. Christine's voice a little softer. They're not yours to hold on to from me. They're not things. You don't own anything. No house. No legal marriage. You leave with nothing. Christine stopped the file herself. That night, I taped this on my cell because I knew that if I did not, no one would ever take what he said seriously. But there is more. She picked up the file again. Kody Robyn's been the only one doing her share. You think you are entitled to share in this family's wealth? For what? For asking me questions, Christine. For being alive after you. The courtroom froze. Even Mary, who had been numb for so long, now regarded Kody as if she had never seen him before. For sometimes the most deadly lies are not the ones screamed in fury, but the ones softly spoken when no ears are there to hear them. The judge held up his hand. Stop there, Mr. Brown. Is that your voice? Kody didn't answer. The judge once more asked, is that your voice? Kody's lawyer whispered something in a rush, but it was too late. Kody stood up, gritting his teeth. Yes, I'm her. The confession lingered there like smoke. The judge looked at the clerk. Mark that tape as Exhibit B. We will discuss the implications of financial verbal coercion. Christine slowly sat down, her heart thudding but her face unreadable. She had a final tape, one that was not about money at all, but on the emotional manipulative pattern that underlay all life in the Brown home. She was not going to do it today, but her sense told her to move now before Robyn would be able to mount a defense. Before Kody could twist it in another direction. Your Honor, she stood up again. I'd like to enter one final recording for today. It's short, the judge nodded. She plugged in the third file. This time she was speaking, her voice shaking. Occasionally I wish the other wives would simply disappear. It would be easier. You know it's me who does the most for you. Kody, I know, baby. You're my real home. The others are duty legacies. The courtroom erupted, not in noise, but in gasping realization. Christine didn't even turn to look at the others. She didn't have to. Mary stood up and walked out. Janelle remained frozen. The judge's face was blank. Legacy obligations. He repeated. Is that how you describe your other wives? Kody tried to backpedal. That conversation was private. It was emotional. It wasn't policy. The judge didn't blink. And yet, it paints a picture of emotional prioritization, which directly affects this case's underlying claims. Christine whispered just loud enough. We were not family. We were pawns. At that juncture, Christine did not just earn sympathy. She planted the seed of suspicion in each listener's heart. If Kody had lied so easily to them, how much more had he kept hidden? From the world? The judge ended the session prematurely. We carry on tomorrow. At that juncture, the court will commence formal examination of all financial transactions between 2020 and 2022. Until then, everything of Mr. Brown and Mrs. Robyn Brown shall be placed in temporary escrow. Any attempt to transfer, sell, or hide money shall be considered contempt of court. Kody stormed out. Robyn walked along behind him, no longer crying, but just quiet, empty. Outside the courthouse. Christine finally breathed again. Janelle waited at the stairs. I heard it all, she said quietly. I believe you. Christine's eyes brimmed, but she nodded instead of breaking. Then help me out. Don't just think. Get up. Janelle didn't react right away. But then she looked back at the courthouse and said under her breath, see you tomorrow. Because once the first wall cracks, the rest always follow. The next morning dawned beneath thick gray clouds, as if the sky itself understood that the storm within the courthouse was on the cusp of rising to a completely new level of destruction. And Christine, wearing the same quiet strength that had carried her through decades of deceit, entered the courtroom, not as a plaintiff, but as a force. The courtroom was packed. Media-lined walls, even local news anchors sneaking into microphones to report updates. But the front row witnessed the true theatrics. Mary did not occupy the gallery today. She occupied the seat next to Christine. And Janelle came minutes after, her arrival confirming what the chattering crowd already suspected. The wives were no longer in dissension. Kody came in last, his face set, jaw wired with rage, Robin following behind him like a lost shadow. The judge did not tarry. Today, we begin formal examination of financial reports from 2020 to 22. But first, we've had a request for a surprise witness. Heads turned, Christine glanced to the back, heart pounding. I'd like to call Kody Brown as a witness, she stated decidedly. A shiver ran through the room as Christine's daughter came down the aisle with a measured steadiness that shook Kody visibly. Objection, snapped Kody's attorney. This witness was not on the original list and overruled. The judge replied, "This is a civil hearing. We'll hear her." Kody took the stand, never looking away from her father. "State your name," the judge told her. "Much Brown. Relationship to the plaintiff." "Daughter." "Proceed." Christine stepped forward towards the mic. "Do you recall the summer of 2021? "Yes." "Do you recall the family gathering at Robin's house on July 19th? Mike nodded. "Yes, I do. I taped it." Gasp of shock erupted right away. Kody's mouth fell open. "You what?" Mike plucked a phone out of her pocket, placed it on the table. "Because last night you threatened Mom. You said that if she didn't back off quietly, you'd see that she'd never have another whiff again, that her public personality would be managed, and that the other wives would turn against her." Gasps filled the room. Not dramatic, not staged, but real. The type of gasps one does when one's delusions shatter and the man one had admired turns out to be something different altogether. "Do you have this tape?" the judge asked. "Yes, and it has been uploaded electronically to the court," replied Christine. She nodded. "It's Exhibit D," the judge addressed Kody. "Would you like to hear it?" Kody slammed his fist on the table. "This is betrayal, my own daughter." "Yes," Mike said calmly. "A betrayal?" "The same one you owed me when I saw how you treated my mother." The judge played the tape. Kody's voice came over the speakers again. No longer practiced or guarded. "If Christine thinks she can bring this family down to the ground and come out looking like a victim, she's wrong. I built this. She's a secondary character. Robin Kody, that's cruel. Kody, it's reality. She's not smart enough to hurt me legally. She doesn't have the means." Then the hesitation. Christine's voice weak. "I don't want to hurt you. I just want what's just." Kody again. "You're getting what's just. You're leaving with your dignity. Don't push your fortune." The tape stopped and the silence that followed held because the truth was finally being told and it was not Christine's. The judge sat back obviously irate. "Mr. Brown, deny this discussion was conducted?" Kody had said nothing. "Is this your voice?" "I don't have anything to say," he growled. Christine turned to the judge. "There's more. Bank records, emails, proof that Kody made payments to a private investment account in the guise of a corporate entity called Brown Legacy Ventures." The judge perused the fresh batch of papers Christine had prepared. "Whose name is this corporation listed in?" "Robin Brown," she answered, though she maintains that she never signed the papers. The judge nodded. "Robin Brown, come forward to the stand." Robin floated ghost-like, slowly and hesitantly. She sat down, and the judge wasted no time. "Do you know these papers?" "I don't recall signing them," she whispered. "But there's your signature." "Told they were for taxes," she whispered. "Who by? Kody?" The courtroom swiveled again. Janelle sat forward. "She's not telling the truth," she grumbled. Christine glanced over. "Ready?" Janelle stood up. "I'd like to take the stand." The judge was taken aback. "You're not on the list. I'm a named defendant in some of these accounts, and I have affidavits to support that I was defrauded." Christine's eyes widened in shock. Janelle had ridden free for years. Now she was striding into the flames. "Go on," the judge ordered. Janelle produced a folder. "These are bank statements from 2022. They proved that even when the family account had been proven to be dormant, they were still taking monthly draws of over $7,000 per month into an account linked to a Flagstaff investment property." The judge furrowed his brow and asked who owned that property. Janelle glared at Kody. "Robin paid off in full purchased under the LLC." Christine stepped forward again, and that's when I knew this was not mismanagement. This was a sneaky removal, a long-measured eraser of anyone who was not hers. What had once been a plural family had been trimmed down to a funnel, one where love was money, and the only account ever to fill was Robin's. The judge sighed. I am going to have to learn these. Meanwhile, all accounts, assets, and LLCs under investigation will be frozen. Robin began crying again, but nobody got up to comfort her, not even Kody. The courtroom cleared, but Christine stayed put. So did Janelle. So did Mary. Mykelti returned to her mother's side and took her hand. You did it, she breathed. No, Christine said, as if from another room. We're only halfway through. In the corridor outside, journalists shouted questions. In the courtroom, the judge signed a motion for financial injunction in silence. And Kody Brown, the man who once stood in the middle of 4 houses, now sat alone, a tempest of his own making, gathering. When you found your empire on domination, you forget that there will be a day when the quiet turns the tables on you. And today it did. The courtroom was unusually still the next morning. Not with calm, but with the tension of people arriving. Not to hear truth, but watching a man crash and burn who had previously thought himself beyond it. And as Christine entered, binder half full now, face calm but alert, she recognized that what she was doing was not for her, it was for every woman ever told to wait her turn, while someone else stayed in luxury born from her silence. And as outside, the media bayed with questions and camera shutters clicked, inside that courtroom, a war was to be ended, not begun. Kody sat with hands tightened into fists, eyes empty, no longer defiant but mysterious. And Robin, thinner, smaller. As if the cracks in the facade had drained the life from her, eyes darting, lips closed, as if she kept a secret locked in. Or scream. Janelle and Mary came in confidently now, standing alongside Christine like generals who had made their decision, not because they were told to do it, but because they could no longer deny they had seen what stood before them all those years. The judge sat down and looked at the docket. Today, we will settle the legitimacy of business records, assets ownership, and notarized signatures for Brown Legacy Ventures and the subject property, he stated, looking around the room. Then pausing. And it has also come to the court's attention that some notarized documents that were presented during a 2020 refinance were not only misrepresented but potentially forged. The room was heavy, volcanic. Christine stood up slowly. I'd like to offer an affidavit of a resigned notary who worked on our refinancing documents in 2020. Jamie Ellison is her name. She presented a statement. Jamie simply says that she was told to notarize 5 independent property documents without making sure of any of the signatures personally. Kody jumped up suddenly. Objection. That's hearsay. The judge held up a hand. The notary testimony is already booked for remote video verification. Undefined. Sit down, Mr. Brown. Robin's mouth open, but no words came. Undefined. The screen that lay behind the judge came to life. Undefined. A woman appeared. Mid-40s, nervous but composed. Undefined Jamie Ellison, she said. Undefined. You've sworn an affidavit for 5 property transfers notarized in March of 2020. Undefined, the judge asked. Undefined. Yes, Your Honor. And were all 5 signers there? Undefined, Jamie hesitated. Then looked away. Undefined. No, undefined. Only Mr. Brown and Mrs. Robin Brown. And thus the others were undefined. Signed prior to undefined. I was told by Mr. Brown that the other wives had agreed. Did you speak with any of them personally? Undefined. No, Your Honor. Thank you, said the judge, and turned to Kody. Undefined. This court considers this document as initial proof of potential signature fraud. Christine stepped forward again. Undefined. Can I show the court my original signature? Undefined. She grasped up a legal pad. Undefined. That refinancing signature. Undefined. Not mine. Undefined. I never even laid eyes on that paper until last week. The judge motioned the forensic expert to the front. A woman with glasses and a folder full of side-by-side comparisons. Undefined. We've done handwriting analysis. Undefined. The signature used in the 2020 refinancing does not match Christine Brown's known documents. The judge breathed a low sigh. Undefined. We now have financial concealment, misleading diversion of funds, and an illegal real estate transaction involving a forged signature. Undefined. Mr. Brown, do you wish to respond? Kody stood up. He did. Not blink. It wasn't forgery, he complained. She agreed to it. I didn't, Christine reported. You said the bank never went through with the transaction because that is what you had to assume, he muttered under his breath. And like that, Kody dismantled his whole defense, not with a lie, but with the admission of control. No, that was simply the truth. Outside, there was a crowd, not to defend Christine or storm Kody, but to see what it looks like when a woman shows receipts rather than revenge. Through the media fog, Christine made her way, not saying anything. She didn't have to. Her silence screamed louder than the front page of any newspaper. Once you finally expose the truth, the darkness doesn't disperse. It howls, and Kody's only just started. The courthouse was abnormally still the next morning. But inside the courtroom, the atmosphere pulsed as if it. Drop a comment below. Who do you think will win? Stay shady, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next scandal. Kiss mark behind TLC. Sister Wives out.